Your actions have consequences. My name's JR, and this is Warframe Built to Destroy. Hey, what's up pups, it's JR, and we're back once again with some more BTD. Before we get into this episode, however, I'd like to address a few things. The more minor thing is, if I sound a bit low energy in this video, and this video ends up being really short, well, that's because I'm currently running on about an hour and a half worth of sleep, and I want to make sure that this video gets up on the delayed time I said so on Twitter. The second thing is, a few weeks ago, around the time I went off on my hiatus, I posted a less comedy-focused video titled My Paranormal Experiences. This was a very experimental video that I mainly posted because some of the people who read my comment or Reddit post I made about these experiences wanted me to make a video on, well, the comment and Reddit post. However, the response on that video was actually very positive, so I'm planning to make 2 more videos in the same style. However, I cannot say whether or not I'm going to make much more after that. Ideally, I'd like to get the next spooky video up this week, but we'll just have to wait and see. With that out of the way, let's get into the video. What can make a bullet hole that isn't a bullet? Aside from lasers and the fact that E-Tech is friggin' dope, I would say that throwing knives could also leave wounds similar to bullet holes. Well, in reality, they're more akin to stab wounds given the fact that they're throwing knives, but hey, who's the narrator here? Anyway, when I was first starting to play Warframe and looking through all the different weapons I could get, when it came to secondary weapons, 2 things really stuck out to me. Those being the throwing knife secondaries and the secondary crossbow Ballistica. However, I was swiftly disappointed to find out that Ballistica was not a typical crossbow with one shot that does devastating damage, and it was more along the lines of a nail gun that was modified to be burst fire. That and the fact that it didn't even really look like a crossbow given the fact that it has 4 limbs in an X pattern as opposed to the usual 2 limbs. So with Ballistica out of the equation, all that was left for the secondaries that really interested me were the throwing knives. The most easily accessible at the time was kunai, which even now isn't exactly the best thing in the world. Regardless, for the longest time, it was my main secondary, and I'm pretty sure that it might actually still be my most used secondary weapon. Yep, while it is my most used secondary, there's only so much you can do with a weapon with such low crit and status potential. Luckily, there's another throwing secondary that also has a high disposition. Despair. Despair is the Stalker's set of throwing knives with 58 base damage favoring puncture and 16% crit and status chance with a 1.6 times crit multiplier. So if you ask me, it's probably a better idea to build these for status rather than crit, unlike its primed competitor, Spira Prime. But remember, if you want Despair, you have to kill the Stalker for a chance for the blueprint to drop. So I'd get to killing bosses. I've actually had Despair for a rather long time, however I only recently built it due to it, along with almost every other non-melee weapon, getting a buff giving it more status and crit potential along with ever so slightly more damage. Well, that and I got a Riven for it, of course. That Riven is Despair Visitin, adding 370.3% damage and 78.9% more magazine capacity, while unfortunately reducing the status chance by 52.4%. Remember how I said I would ideally like to build Despair for status? Despair comes with 2 innate Moderite or V polarities, so luckily I only have to form it 5 times as opposed to the usual 7 or so. I have Hornet Strike, Barrel Diffusion, Despair Visitin, Primed Heated Charge, Lethal Torrent, and Convulsion, increasing my overall damage, fire rate, and adding radiation damage. Then Primed Pistol Gambit and Target Cracker, increasing my Despair's crit capability. Against my will, but that's besides the point. Unfortunately, I do not have Primed Target Cracker, but the stats you will see here shortly are if a maxed rank Primed Target Cracker was in place of my normal one. With my 5 forma build, and my Riven specifically, and a max rank Primed Target Cracker, Despair gets up to 13,371 average overall damage and 71,245 average DPS. So, let's see what Despair can do. that's going to wrap up this episode of Built to Destroy. If you enjoyed this video, consider dropping it a like, and make sure to hit that subscribe button to become a pup if you haven't already. I'd also like to give a big thanks to my newest $10 patron, SinBound. If you want to support the channel as well, consider becoming a patron for as little as $1 a month. My name's JR, and I'll see you guys in the next one.